Hello, everyone. Greetings from Denver, Colorado. I'm Matt Sopich, Teladoc Senior Vice President and General Manager of Mental Health Services. And previously, I was the co-founder and president of MyStrength, a leading digital mental health platform. And today I'm joined with my colleague, Rebecca Newman. And together, we're super excited to share more about MyStrength and looking forward to working with you to bring MyStrength into France. Our goal for the next 30 minutes is to do several things. First, we want to share with you why mental health is such a huge issue globally and within France. Secondly, we're going to provide you an overview of the MyStrength mental health platform, including a demo. And third, we're going to answer a few questions that you've provided to us ahead of time. But before we jump into the slides, we just wanted to share a brief story on how MyStrength came into being. Like many great innovations, the creation of MyStrength was fueled by a deep personal passion for mental health. Scott Kuzno, my co-founder, and I have both been touched by mental health. In my case, I lost my brother Eric to suicide over 20 years ago. Eric did well when he was connected to care and really struggled when he wasn't able to receive the care that he needed. With this lived experience and a couple of decades of building web and mobile services and the blessings of our loved ones, Scott and I started the journey to create a digital platform that would empower people with access to gold standard clinical approaches to improving mental health. It's hard to believe that was nearly a decade ago. Go ahead and go to the next slide. These next few slides are just going to highlight some of the significance of mental health within France and globally. According to the World Health Organization, mental health issues are the #1 global cause of disability. Depression alone impacts nearly 500 million people across the world, with 70 to 80% of those people receiving no care at all. For France specifically, half of the people are living where the access to psychiatric care is either poor or non-existent. For those that are able to have access to services, there are multiple other challenges and obstacles, including significant wait times that can often exceed 6 months before they're able to actually see someone. There are also a very complex set of options, depending upon varying levels of care, medications, etc. And most of these services are very costly. Next slide. And the problem of mental health is only getting worse. Since the first national lockdown in France associated with COVID, nearly 1 in 7 people in France have had a depressive episode. As you can see from the slide, this increase is also independent of age categories. Next slide. In addition to having a significant impact on people's quality of life, mental health also is a major contributor to the costs of health care. In France alone, mental health issues generate over 19 billion euros in annual costs to the system. This is more expensive than cancer and cardiovascular disease. Next slide. The good news is that the emergence of digital programs is offering a promising solution for many who are struggling. In recent years, there is significant scientific evidence that shows digital programs can be very effective, in some cases, as effective as face-to-face therapy. Additionally, these types of programs offer many benefits over traditional forms of care, including the breadth of access, the fact that they can be used 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every day of the year. These services can also be highly anonymous, helping to break stigma issues. And they're highly scalable at a relatively low cost. Now with this, I'm going to transition over to Rebecca, who's going to take you through the MyStrength platform in greater detail.
Thank you, Matt. Hi, everyone. I'm Rebecca Newman, as Matt introduced, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how MyStrength is so different and unique, what makes it so special. And I'm going to do a demo, a live demo of the application. As you can see, Matt and I are both from the United States, so this demo is in English. The application I'm showing you will be in English, but we are working on a fully translated version that will be 100% in French. So the demo you are seeing today is our US application, but for our France colleagues, you will be able to see this all in French coming soon. My strength, there are really a few things that make it really unique. As you can see in the image, we have both native iOS and Android mobile apps, as well as a fully responsive web application. That means it can be used on any device, anytime you have access to the internet. Really, I'm going to talk about three things: scale, breadth, and personalization, as what sets this apart from so many of the other, oftentimes free apps that are out in the market. Because my strength has been in the US for over 10 years, we have had the opportunity to work with some of the largest healthcare payers, providers, and directly with employers and EAP companies in the world. We have over 500,000 active members on the platform today. We have a lot of experience being able to roll this out and to be able to really offer this digital service at a significant scale. The next area of differentiation is around breadth. So we think about breadth in a couple of ways, one of which is shown on this slide. We cover 12 different core focus areas, all with full e-learning programs, ranging from, of course, depression and anxiety, but we have other programs such as substance use, bipolar disorder, nicotine recovery. And going beyond that, we also have tools that are good for everyone, no matter where they fall on the acuity level in terms of mental health and wellness, mental health and emotional wellness. So things like mindfulness and balancing emotions and stress management. And we also have on the outer circle here, contextual and relevant activities based on those hurdles that might be in your way to maintaining emotional wellness. Things like work stress, grief, dealing with COVID-19, this pandemic. When the pandemic hit, we built a series of activities specifically to help people through that moment in time. So this breadth in terms of the number of activities we cover is a really significant difference. The other area of breadth that we have is in the psychotherapy models. So we use 8 different psychotherapy models throughout the entire platform, with things like CBT or cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness, ACT or acceptance and commitment therapy, and others. So with all of that content, personalization becomes even more key. We use our expertise in data science to be able to offer up a personal approach to each individual member. So when Matt comes into the application is going to look different than when I come into the application, because we use what we learn about the individual from their profile, as well as over time, which activities are most helpful, and we create a personal set of activities for each individual member. The personalization is taken even further through the use of coaching. So we have dedicated, coordinated coaching for each member who comes into the application. That this coach, who is a Teladoc employee, will be working with the member to be able to redirect and focus them in the right areas based on what's really going on in their lives at that moment. The goal of this coaching is really to improve engagement with the evidence-based resources that are on the platform, to ultimately drive up clinical improvements through the increased usage of the activities. We see that coaching does improve digital engagement 3 times higher than those who do not use coaching, which ultimately leads to better clinical outcomes. I'm going to show you how the coaching works when I do the demonstration in just a moment, but this is really a great way of taking technology that can be available to everyone and improving the engagement of that technology through the use of coaching. So I'm going to jump over now and do a quick demo. I'm demoing today on our mobile app, one of our mobile apps. This is our iOS app. Like I said, we also have native Android apps, as well as a fully responsive web application. And the great thing is, no matter what device you come in on, you can use any of the other devices seamlessly. So if I work on my computer and I find some activities that I really like, I can put them into my favorites, and then I can pick up my phone and pick up right where I left off. They work interchangeably. And everything I show you today is also available on our web application. All of the content and all of the features are available there as well. So when I first created my account, I went through a standard onboarding set of questions, which includes three different assessments or screeners. We screen for depression using the PHQ, anxiety using the GAD, and we have an overall 5-question emotional wellness screener developed by the World Health Organization. We also ask some questions in a motivational interviewing style that asks the member to tell us a bit more about what brings them to My Strength. We use that data to drive the personalization. It's a really critical step when you first create your account. One of the first places you'll see that personalization come to life is in the starting focus area, which you can see at the top of my screen is trauma. The data science behind the scenes will take all of that data and figure out which of our 12 core focus areas it was best for that person to start with. However, I'm just scrolling my finger across the top of these tiles. I can switch at any time. Oftentimes, these conditions co-occur. It's very common for mental health conditions to co-occur. So I might be dealing with trauma, but really right now, I just be able to improve my sleep so that I can tackle each day in a little bit stronger way. So maybe I want to switch over to insomnia, and I can do that simply by scrolling across the top. And no matter where I left off, when I come back to trauma, I'll pick up right where I left off. But I'm going to go ahead and click on the trauma tile just to show you the next level of the personalization, which is the recommended activities. So once I click on trauma, the system is going to pick out usually about 5 activities for me in any given day. It's going to pull from the trauma program, but it will also pull in other areas or other activities based on the other things in my profile. So for example, if I said I was worried about sleep, I might see some insomnia activities kind of pulling in to this train as well. And like I said, each person will get a different set of activities based on their profile and what might work best for them. I jumped back out to the homepage because I want to show you another way to get to the full breadth of activities. I'm going to click on activities on the bottom, this magnifying glass on the bottom, and that takes you to the full library of all of the activities on the platform. When I scroll through this, you can see that they're organized in different ways. So again, we have our 12 core focus areas here at the top. We also have what we call in-the-moment coping tools. These are shorter form activities that cover a really broad range of topics to just help me learn skills that help me get through day to day. They are organized by how My Strength can help you meet different goals. But then we also have, as I mentioned before, those life topics. So we've got the life topics here. When I click on one of these, I'm going to go ahead and click into the COVID-19. When I click on one of these, I get the full list of all of the activities in that category. So these activities are going to usually be less than 3 minutes in length. They're really short, meaningful tools that I can use, things that I can learn to help manage my day-to-day. You can see on the COVID-19, there are different categories like returning to work, family and relationships, mindfulness and meditation. But I'm going to click on the first activity in this first category called managing thoughts and emotions. This one is about how to manage overwhelming thoughts about COVID-19. So many people may have never had depressive thoughts come through their head, but during this time, all of a sudden their mind is being consumed by overwhelming thoughts, and this activity is about how to deal with those. You can see there's a little bit of reading on the screen. So we've got some reading, but oftentimes we're actually including video and audio to help engage in the learning process. So I will play a little bit of this video for you. Hopefully it comes through okay. Get my sound going here.
I'd like to share with you some ideas on how to learn to look at your thoughts instead of being caught up by them. Hopefully, as you practice these tools, you'll learn how to let your thoughts come and go instead of being pulled along by them. In ACT, we call this process diffusion. Diffusion is learning to see yourself as a bit separate and a bit distant from your internal voices. Now, these voices are full of rules and reasons, even judgments. We all have brains that tell us things each and every day, moment to moment. And it's only natural that some of those thoughts feel dark, scary, worrisome, even depressing. Those thoughts are perfectly natural. But that being said, you are different from your thoughts. Look at me here. As the camera guy was setting up, I started thinking to myself, hey, you're not so good at talking on camera. What are you doing? My internal voices was.
So I'm going to pause it just because I want to be able to show you more videos. So I want to tell you what the rest of what he says is. So you saw that this video comes from our library of activities from the psychotherapy model called acceptance and commitment therapy. As I mentioned, we have 8 different models kind of embedded throughout the activities. So this is an activity, this concept or process called diffusion, which a therapist might be using in their office, and we're teaching it in this very interactive way. So he's going to teach how you can stop and recognize a thought, put some words before that thought so you can get distance, and then you can think about that more critically rather than being carried along by the thought. So after the video, we have a little bit of reading to do that is just reinforcing what we learned in the video. But then the really powerful part comes in when you get to practice it and apply it in your own life. So in addition to learning how to use some of these techniques, you're going to actually practice them. So here's an opportunity to look at what is one thought you are currently having about COVID-19. When I click in the text box, the keyboard comes up on my mobile device, but I also have the ability to do voice to text with the microphone at the bottom. So let me demonstrate how that works. Our lives will never get back to normal. So you can see how easy it is to enter into the mobile app here, that thought. So here's the overwhelming thought that is in my mind. When I click on next, I then have the opportunity to practice what he taught again in the video, to add, I'm having the thought that before the negative thought, or I notice that I'm having the thought that. This gets me the distance from that thought. So then I can start to think, is that thought realistic? Am I over emphasizing? How do I categorize that thought? Other things to be able to kind of more critically think about that thought. When I save and complete the activity, I get a little reward. A little mountain shows up with a checkbox saying I completed this activity, and I have the opportunity to add it to your library. That one happened to be in my library, so I just took it out, but just to show you how you can add it to your library there just simply by clicking on that box. This is really helpful. As you can imagine, we have a lot of breathing exercises, relaxation exercises, mindfulness, and meditation that you might want to come back to and practice time and again. And you do that by putting it in your library so you can easily access that again. So I'm going to jump back up to the focus areas at the top. And I'm going to scroll over and find our Improving Sleep program. I want to talk a little bit about how these 12 different core focus areas are shown and represented. We have the full e-learning program here at the top on this tile called Sleep Program, but we also have a toolkit of shorter form activities that can help you develop skills you need to be able to address this problem. These shorter form activities provides a lot of flexibility in how somebody might choose to use the program. I personally, in the sleep program, this is where I spend my time. because I don't suffer from insomnia, but sometimes I just have a hard time shutting my mind down before bed. And I've learned some really helpful techniques, such as this buffer zone, to be able to create some space where I can be able to fall asleep and get a better night's sleep. But when I am ready to jump into the full sleep program, I click on this tile at the top, and you'll see that this is a program where you're learning skills and building upon those skills as you go through the sequential learning exercises. So these exercises are going to take a little longer to complete. They take about 10 to 15 minutes each, but you're really going through a kind of lesson by lesson e-learning program, all targeted on improving your sleep or overcoming insomnia. I like to show the first activity in this program because it has a nice video that really demonstrates what the sleep program overall is all about. I jumped into this first activity, and I'll show this video. I think I have a little bit of time here. So let me show this video for you so you can see what this program is about.
When your sleep falls off the rails, it can be tricky to get it back on track. You may feel the train's left the station and you're stuck alone. Well, My Strength is here to give you a lift and help you go full steam ahead towards a better night's sleep. We've teamed with sleep experts on a program that helps you get the Z's you need. We use a scientifically proven method to improve sleep called cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, or CBTI for short. It's proven as effective as medication to get you snoozing, and it's actually better down the line because you're able to put the brakes on the things that keep your insomnia going. First up, we'll ask you to keep a sleep diary, which is exactly what it sounds like. So we'll better know what occurs night in and night out, and build a roadmap that's designed just for you. From there, My Strength can teach you how to quiet your overactive mind come bedtime, build healthier habits, and make sure your body associates your bed with sleeping. Long story short, we'll get you chugging along to a better night's rest. Our only trip advisory is this: you have to hop aboard if you want to make a real change. You can't go halfway and expect full results. Move in a new direction today with My Strength, and we'll help you find better nights and better days ahead.
So that video gives a nice introduction. You can see we use cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, or CBTI. I have the opportunity to learn about some of the different aspects of CBTI simply by clicking on these tiles. And then we'll talk a little bit about why pills aren't the best approach. We have another video from a leading sleep expert that really talks about the power of CBTI. And then when I complete that activity, I can go right into the next activity in this linear program. This one is about what is your sleep story, and then the next activity will actually help me make that first entry into my sleep diary. Throughout the program, I'm going to learn sleep hygiene techniques to help my body support my sleep, help my mind support my sleep, and then ultimately develop the habits that really will help me move forward. This program, along with all of the other 12 programs, have been designed with the evidence-based protocols that are best for the treatment of that particular condition. So they're each unique, and they really are designed with true proven scientific approaches to addressing each one. So I only have a couple more minutes. I want to show a couple things. One, I talked about coaching, so I want to show you how the coaching actually works. When I came in, I had the opportunity to work with a coach. I said yes. Her image is up in the top right corner of my application. If I have a new message, there will be a little red dot. I also get an email saying I have a new message from my coach. When I come in and I click on her image, I can see the full communication back and forth with my coach. So I can tell her what's going on in my life, and she will come back with specific recommendations of activities to help me at that moment. If I come back and say I really liked that activity, she'll point me in that direction towards more activities like that, just furthering that personalization. Anytime she makes a recommendation of an activity, I just click on it and it goes directly to that activity. So it makes it really easy for me to find the right path based on her recommendation. And if I don't check in a while, she'll reach out, through a message to me, and I'll get an email saying it's time to kind of come back in and check in. So we help drive people back for that engagement. And then the final thing I wanted to show is if the coach or the system is noticing that I might be struggling, they have the opportunity, the coach has the opportunity to push me back to what we call the Get Help page. So she is pointing me to some activities, but also recommended that I visit this Get Help page. And when I click on that, it takes me to a page that we customize for each one of our clients with phone numbers and links to web pages to get them back to that next level of care. With our other services that we provide, we can link back directly into those services. So if we want to get somebody into a teletherapy appointment, we can push them into our services to take that next step of care. So while this is a digital tool with the coach, we are actually going to help get people back into that next step of care when they're ready and they're able to make that commitment to start talking with somebody at a deeper level. So I am going to end my demo there. We're going to answer just a couple of questions. And Matt, if you would like to share with me the questions that we've received.
Yeah, thanks, Rebecca. That was super helpful. Just a couple of questions that we've received from folks. First one is, how long do members use this service and for what purpose?
That's a great question, and we get that question a lot. As Matt had said, this has been available in the U.S. for 10 years, so we have a lot of data over those years in terms of how people are using the application and how long they stay. We're really proud of our engagement metrics. We've done kind of a bit of analysis, and we see that within the first 45 days, which is really the most critical time, we see on average 6 interactions. And those interactions are 12 minutes in length on average, which means that members are using what's on the application. They're not just logging in and getting back out of it. They're actually using the activities that are on the platform. But then we looked at longer. How long do people stay? So with any digital tool, you'll of course see a drop off. How many apps do you have downloaded on your phone today that you haven't opened since the first time you downloaded it? But we actually see 35% of people after a year are still actively engaged, which is really a high number. So of course you'll see a drop off, but we're really happy to report that we keep people engaged for a long period of time. And how they're using it, it varies. Because of the breadth we have on the platform, both in the focus areas as well as the evidence-based protocols, we know that we can help people across the entire acuity spectrum. For those members who have a clinical diagnosis of a mental health condition and may be working with a therapist or a psychiatrist, they may be on medication, all the way to people who are just generally healthy, but just want to know how to deal with stress, or maybe they want to learn how to practice mindfulness. Our population spreads evenly. So it's about a third in each category to clinical diagnosis, subclinical, and healthy category. So this can be used in conjunction with therapy, but also as a standalone resource to just help develop those skills to handle life.
Great, Rebecca. One final question then. Is this complementary to psychotherapy?
Yeah, another great question. And the interesting thing, when we launched this product, we really did so with the very clear intention of making this not a replacement to therapy, but something that could be used side by side, and also at the same time help extend access to those that are unable or unwilling to seek out therapy. So it really can be used for both. And because we use those evidence-based protocols, those 8 evidence-based protocols, those are the same types of approaches that therapists would be using in their office. So it is very complementary to what a member might be doing in the office because we're using that same approach. So oftentimes, even if I can get an appointment with a therapist and we know access is a big issue, oftentimes there's a long wait time when I might go see my therapist again or talk to my therapist again. And my strength can be used to bridge the gap between those sessions very easily because we are using those same protocols.
That's great. Thank you, Rebecca. And with that, I think we're at the end of our time. Again, thanks for the opportunity to share this with you. And we're very much looking forward to hearing from you and working with you all to bring My Strength into France. Thanks, everyone. Bye.